What's the crack with you since the last time we were talking? How's the Russian gate opening up in Eastern Europe? That battlefield that may or may not happen?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like, yeah, I have a passport. Actually, the young fella doesn't. We need to get one of him. I suppose I'll have to get them Irish passports in case anything happens. They're not going to come this far. You know, it's Putin. Putin needs the buffer of the two countries, which, you know, he was supposed to have that from the European Union, but not NATO. Don't like NATO. You see NATO around here, and I've seen them every now and again driving around in their tanks and big fucking armoured cars.
They have their
just
own
giving the finger,
right?
as they drive by.
Is it like they're an independent kind of army? Is it like they have an actual army, NATO, is it? Or is it?
Aren't they supposed to be, isn't it like the Irish army? It's an army, but not an army. They're peacekeepers or something like that.
Right, okay, yeah.
You know? But doesn't every country has to commit so many people to it? So like, I presume Ireland doesn't have anyone in it because Ireland wouldn't be in NATO. Are Ireland in NATO?
I'm not sure. I'm not. We're in the UN though, aren't we? Ireland. So
yeah, you know what? That's it.
Peacekeeping force.
Ireland aren't in NATO officially, but there are what do you call it? Radio receivers and satellites and stuff, satellite receivers in Ireland that aren't supposed to be in Ireland, but they are definitely there.
Yeah, and we also let the military planes land in Shannon and all that stuff.
Yeah. There's loads of missile launch stuff in Poland that like they just put here, like no one wants here, but they're here because we need them in case the Russians attack Poland. Why are they going to attack? They're only going to attack Poland because you pissed them off. Get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're only attacking because you have all these things. Yeah. Why are you attacking us? Well, you moved in your nuclear weapons. Well, what? Just in case you attack us.
Yeah.
It's an odd one. Like, I think you were saying to me that the actual Ukraine were saying that to get everyone to chill out a bit or something like that. It's hard to know. Like, it's just one of those things that it's the kind of climate it's in that it could go literally anywhere. Like in 2 weeks, it could be something completely different. We could be worrying about North Korea, the moon. I know Mars may be attacking us. Who knows? It's anything.
There's so much kind of what's the word? There's so much posturing going on now that like. See, I don't want to say anything too bad about Putin because this might get back to him, and then I'll be
on the list,
fucking put up against the wall. You know what I mean? Because imagine like if the Russians did roll into Ukraine and then we're like, you know what? Yeah, sure, we're here now. We may as well go to Poland. And then they come into Poland. It's like, sure, I'm useless. Like they may as well just shoot me because I'm a foreigner. I've no rights. My Polish is okay, but like I can't contribute in a wartime anything basically unless it's like the propaganda unit. Okay, I could do that, but like,
would you?
What?
Yeah.
To stay alive, I probably would actually. Yeah, but that's fucking weird thoughts you have as stuff like this happening. But like, I've been reading plenty of posts on Reddit from like Ukrainians asking advice on what they should do and all that, and like everyone is just saying leave. And if you do stay, like, invest in petrol, buy lots of Jimmy cans, hide them because that's what's going to be currency. It's like fucking hell. Like, am I going to have to deal with this stuff as well? Like, I feel awful sorry for, and it's nonsense as well. What the fuck is what's he doing going into Ukraine anyway? Leave them alone. You know what I mean? Okay, NATO, I understand. The world would be a better place without NATO. Let's just get rid of NATO. We don't need you. Good luck. Bye. We're all one people anyway. You know what I mean? Like, let's all. Like,
isn't the whole point of NATO, or at least ostensibly the point of NATO, is that it's unless there's one big arsehole that can do it, like North Korea, whatever, and it's to stop that, to have some sort of united.
No, that's the UN. Sure,
right.
NATO is
explain NATO to me then.
No. So NATO is the North Atlantic Treaty something organization. I suppose.
Organization. Yeah.
Orifices. So their thing is to kind of like a military version of the European Union, but also the Yanks are in it as well, and I presume Canada. And it's the Allies against Russia, basically.
It's a Cold War thing, essentially.
Yeah, it's like, so Russia, you look after, or you don't step on anyone's toes, or else you'll have us to fucking deal with. Sure, like, I think NATO started the Yugoslavian war. Like, there was a lot of saber rattling going on before it, and then Bill Clinton ordered someone to go in and drop bombs, and then it just all went fucking tits up, like. for literally everyone involved in it. You know, there's no winners of that. And there's talk of that might even fucking restart.
So tell me this, when they're talking about, like, say, Russia invading Ukraine, is that like they walk in and suddenly just take over the buildings? Or are they walking in and shooting people? Like, what? Or could it be either?
It could be either. No, I think what they do is, what I read anyway, was that the plan is to go in and, the first plan is to have these staged, what do you call it, covert things. What started World War II was one of these, and a lot of people outside of Poland don't know this. So in a town not too far from me called Gliwice, right? Everyone thinks World War II started when the Nazis bombed Gdansk, okay? But what happened was the day before that, I think it was the day before that, down not too far from where I am, there's a town called Gliwice. Germans dressed as Polish army attacked a German radio tower. Now, it was Germans who did it. So this is the plan for Ukraine as well. They're going to have Russians are going to go in, look like Ukrainians, and attack something Russian or something. Throw petrol bombs at the embassy.
Literally the false flag thing.
False, that's the fucking word I'm looking for. I couldn't think of it.
It's just the night of glass knives or something like that.
Yeah. But then they're going to roll in and they're going to take out, like, communications and stuff like that. So they're not, like, there's going to be as little civilian casualties as possible. But it's still fucking depressing. Like, can we not? Why? They just, like, if Putin would just fucking grow up here and fucking man up and sit down with people and talk to them, be able to hash it out. You know what I mean? Wasn't it great that Merkel was able to keep him in his place? She was fucking brilliant. You know, she was. She took no shit off him.
Yeah.
You know?
But yeah, it's like, like, he's kind of starting to, they're saying that there's a chance that he's starting to lose his memory a bit or something, or he's some sort of a degenerative thing that's coming out again. But, like, I mean, that could be just, you know, the PR machine or whatever. But he is getting into the kind of trying to, at some point, he's aware that the exchange of power is going to happen. So he's starting to think about things like that, or he's putting things in place of what will happen after he's gone. But the worst thing about, I suppose, people like that is, do they want the world when they're gone? You know what I mean? Like, he's in a position to end everything as he ends too, you know?
Yeah.
Which is a scary thought. Like, no one should have that power, but strangely 3 people probably in the world do. So,
yeah, it's I don't know, Tommy. It's kind of like, just look at the, like, just like, do you know, you get into all this spirituality bullshit that we do, and you're like, look, the world is one, we can all be one if we all just open our hearts and work on our heart chakras and love each other. And then you just have these dickheads, you know, who have never got past the mental age of playing toy soldiers, and it's like, why do we vote for these gobshites?
Well, in Putin's case, no one did. Last while. Yeah, so. Yeah, but, like, but I think that's part of it, though, isn't it? Go on, sorry. Not interrupting.
But, like, the thing is kind of like, do you know, like, if I sat down with Vladimir from Volgograd and Lee from Shanghai, you know, we're all supposed to be all very vastly different humans, but, like, if we all sat down and just had a chat, we'd get on a lot better than, like, I ever could with, say, some gobshite like Trump or Putin or Joe Biden or any of these. I don't know. I'm trying to fix the world, Tommy, and I think I can. I think I can if I was just allowed. If I was just allowed to do it.
Okay. Yeah.
So vote Spud.
Vote Spud. Votes get into power immediately. It goes, well, I'm in power forever now, and invade Ukraine.
Yeah. See you, Slovakia.
Yeah.
Never had much time for you, Slovakia.
Yeah. Never liked France. Here we come. Come on. No more France.
England would just be sweating for years, and I wouldn't do anything, but there'd just be a veiled threat all the time.
Yeah, just hang out in Scotland for the summers, you know. Just here with my army. No reason. Yeah. I think that just to point to, or go back to the point you're making about that, you know, the love stuff and you know, one and all that. I think, though, it does come back to the thing that part of it is, like, as the Buddha said a couple of years ago, that's what the world is. You know, that it comes with this thing of a constant kind of suffering, as he called it, or the axle is always slightly off the wheel. You know, there's a wobbly wheel constantly, and it's never not going to be like that, because, as you know, we want to say it's the nature of the place. But that's easy to kind of go with when things are kind of, shit, but not, not life-threatening, or it's not the end of the world or something like that. But when it actually gets to the kind of, hold on, there's something bad going on. And also when we've come out of like the last 2 years of very strange times as well, and it's you're just kind of 10 minutes to breathe between massive, world-shattering events, please. But it's like, I don't know. I don't think there is an answer. I don't think I don't know, because I kind of wonder then, like, is there going to be a point sometime in the future when we work all this out? Is that what this is all about? That we eventually will work it all out? Or isn't
that what they say? Isn't that the point of working on? They're supposed, like, the next thing is supposed to be a step in consciousness that raises us higher. But but at the same time, I mean, okay, so the Buddha is the first one who's supposed to, like, it's been 2,500 years. It doesn't look like we've copped onto it. No.
I suppose that he would say that you can't cop onto it. That it's, it's not fixable. That it's,
I mean, Jesus, like, like something like fidget spinners happen and the whole world takes it within like a week. But, enlightenment and Christ consciousness or whatever it's called, that we can all like actually like each other. No, that doesn't seem to be on anyone's.
Meditation is, I suppose, picked up a fair bit over the last while. There's definitely a momentum around that of people meditating for whatever reason, mostly for stress relief and dealing with their shitty jobs and their shitty people that they work with. But it's a start. It's somewhere, at least it's on the map. It's not seen as a kind of a esoteric thing or something strange. Like when we were growing up, if someone said, my mother meditates, you go, what's going on now? Yeah. Or, people can have to find themselves. I remember when I was a kid, someone in our periphery, not directly in our family, but one of the family friends or something, left to find themselves, and it was a huge deal. What does this mean, to find yourself? It's like, sure, every other parent. It's kind of strange now at some point you haven't gone to try and find yourself, But it was such a...
Yeah. Go find yourself in India when really all you're doing is you're actually going there to lose yourself and lose your ego.
It. Yeah.
Isn't that cool? I like that. The paradox of that, which was the totally unintentional paradox. But you know what? I'm a bit nervous about what's going on there. But then again, I do kind of get nervous about world events anyway. Like, look, Ukraine's a good... Wait, no, I'm going down there. I'm going down to the border, Poland-Ukraine border next week. So that's where the in-laws live. It's about 10, 20 minutes away.
Without your army, though. I'm going into... Yeah, I have to do this job where I have to pretend to be Ukrainian, but I'm really Russian. There's some it's communication tower that I have to blow up, something like that, yeah.
Oh, the dumb... Like, did you ever see... Is it Cars 2 where Mater is the spy, and it's like he's the spy because he's just so bloody retarded. I was like... Yeah, look, everyone thinks he's a spy, but like, and they all buy into it. But like, he's really just thick. And then Mater hears him and he gets all heartbroken, and then he mans up anyway and does it. Goes into the darkest part of the cave thing. But yeah, sure. How could I not be nervous? There might be a war going on in the country right beside. But now, look, Ukraine's very, 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 very huge. And like, even like the time that I had to take a bus from Rzeszów in Poland to Kiev. I think the bus was 16 hours. It's quite a long way.
Oh, wow.
So it's quite a long way to the capital of Kiev from Poland. But at the same time, it was, a tank could do it in 2 days kind of thing.
So it could be... It's still going to get there. It's not, 16 weeks away or something like.
I don't know. But like, I mean, I can see him getting involved in Ukraine, and then I think that's the end of it then, because he just wants to save his border. And I get it. But like, Ukrainians don't like him. They really don't like.
Well, you get a lot of refugees coming into Poland. Is that a thing that happened from?
There has been though. Like, there already has been over the last couple of years. It's like, so I know it's not a good excuse, but like during all of the Syrian refugee stuff, when Poland was saying we're not taking any, and then everyone on, you guys that are more Western were like, oh, you're racist, how dare you not do it? But Poland's like, yeah, lads, we're after taking in like 500,000 Ukrainians over the last 6 months. What the fuck does yous do? Yeah. But the reason is that the Polish government are racist. We will say that. But the reason is as well because Poland has a border with Ukraine. There's a kind of special relationship with the passports there. It's not so like if a Ukrainian wants to go to Ireland, they'll need a visa, yada yada yada. But they're allowed to come here for shorter stays, kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah.
And then people, they'll stay longer and work in the black market. I mean, they work cash jobs, cleaners, stuff like that, like builders, things like that. There's a lot. I mean, yeah. Even here where I am, is a small place, but you'll often be walking in town and you'll hear a group of Ukrainian ladies talking behind you and stuff like that.
Is it massive?
Look, any I've met are lovely.
Right.
Really
and
sound,
is it Russian to speak, or what's the language? I have no idea about it.
No, it's a different one. It's a different one. Look, for our ears, it's hard to know the difference, but it's it is different. Yeah.
But it's not a dialect. It's a completely different language. Like it's Swedish.
No, it's different. Yeah. No, it's even the different alphabet. They also don't use our alphabet. They use their own. And they don't use the Russian. What's it called? Cyrillic.
Right.
They have another set as well. It looks like the Russian one, but it's also different.
But it probably doesn't remotely look like the Russian one to them, like I assume. Just
probably not.
Like Chinese and Japanese. I remember going up to either a Chinese woman or a Japanese woman, and I had a shirt, and I had, as far as I was concerned, Asian letters on it. And I was asking her, "What's this?"
Asian letters,
and she was going like,
Sanskrit.
Chinese. Yeah, how would I know? It's Japanese, idiot. I was going, all right, okay. Thanks very much.
I don't know. Tell me not to be nervous, Tommy, because I don't want to be nervous about this. But I don't know. Well,
I mean, I can tell you not to be nervous, but sure, what do I know? But the thing is that the only way to approach it, there's nothing you can do about it. So what's going to happen is going to happen, and worrying about it's not going to make anything. That said, prepare for it if that makes you feel a bit,
Get your passports in order.
Yeah, and find out about I assume that if you're married, that your wife can have an Irish passport. It's not a thing people do to get passports.
I think it's only in Ireland. You have to be living in Ireland to do that, and you have to live for so many years as well. And she hasn't lived in Ireland for enough years to get that, as far as I know. But then again, look, in a war situation, I'm sure the embassy would just be like, yeah, grand, yeah, here you go, get out.
Yeah. And kids, I mean, that does change the thing of
the kids. The kids would have it anyway.
No, but I mean, change horror.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I mean that you can't, you don't want to be splitting up families, blah blah. I don't know. Other legal experts are available other than just me. Is the passport office even open anymore in Ireland? It wasn't for the last 2 years, and I assume the backlog will be extensive at this point. So you may get on that.
Good luck, Ukraine. We're all on your side, unless Mr. Putin wins and then he comes to Poland, then I'm not on your side anymore. Then I'm...
Yeah. Spud the fickle. He's stand up for everything he believes in, unless he's not doing it.
Until there's a gun at his head. You know what I mean? Fucking. I was even reading that there's the thread on Reddit, or a couple of threads on Reddit I was reading. One guy was like try and keep long-lasting biscuits and stuff like that, and have some alcohol. Did you read that post? It was horrific.
Yeah.
And he was like, if there's any passing soldiers, you can barter with them. They usually won't take all of what you have, but they'll take some. And I was like, oh my God, is that my life? Am I going to have to barter biscuits and give blowjobs to Russian fucking sailors?
Sounds great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Hey, sailor!
But, what have you decided? This is getting very dark, but have you decided
this is dark.
What when you're booking flights, what is the thing that would have to happen?
we haven't spoken about this because it's
dark.
It's a bit too real. Look, if that hadn't happened, we'd be gone. Simple as that. We'd be gone. We'd lock up, drive the car, and into Germany, check, get a flight.
Russia invading Ukraine, is that it, or is it?
No. If they start coming over here, they won't though. They're not going to start coming over here. But yeah, that's what I would do. I'd be gone. I wouldn't even think about it, because it's not I don't know what happened to the land. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't I'm not. It's not that I'm not from here. It's just that if Ireland was invaded, I'd get the fuck out of Ireland as well, because I'm not standing and fighting for a piece of land. It's not worth it. My life isn't worth land. You know what I mean? It's not and it's definitely not worth bricks and mortar. It's not worth bricks and mortar either. It's just not. I'd rather be alive and destitute than dead. You know what I mean? Fuck dying. Jesus. What's the point in that?
What's going to happen anyway? You accept that.
I know, but I have accepted that. I'm okay with it, but yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not today.
Not today.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, let's talk about something that
let's talk about something happy, will you? Come here. Do you know what the while to shine a light on it? I think it looks like you kind of bumble your way through this spiritual path of this chaos magic way of doing things, a little from this, a little from that, a little from this, a little from that. But like you've very much gone down the road of Tantra lately. That seems to really be suiting you. And I'm after coming across, even though I knew the name, I'm after coming across Raja Yoga recently. And rather than it being just, I thought it was just, it's a type of meditation yoga. There's loads of stuff in it, and it's really similar. It's like it's the 8-limbed yoga. So it's I wonder where did he get that from?
Yeah. The Patanjali stuff.
There's yama, niyama. Then you have the asanas, pranayamas, until you get to.
No, but it'd be the overall when you talk about Raja Yoga. Is it the Patanjali stuff or what?
What's Patanjali?
He's the guy who's the notorious Patanjali, not notorious, but he's the guy who would have...
Oh, is that his name? Swami...
Yeah. The Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, whatever way you want to.
No, it's not. Let me look it up here. Raja Yoga, Swami... What's his name? Vivekananda was the guy.
Oh, yeah, the American guy. That's the... Hold on, you won't be able to see that. Yoga Sutras, Patanjali.
Right, that's the sutras. Yeah.
That, if you're into it, that's the one. That's the one to hang out with.
Right.
It's
go on. Tell us about your Tantra stuff.
Well, you see, it's mostly the Tantra stuff is just through the Christopher Wallace stuff, but it's the notorious Christopher Wallace. But it's essentially
but I mean, like you're really running with this. Like you've been onto this.
Well,
it's
one of the things. The other thing I've kind of been running with too is Theosophy. So I mean that they're both running concurrent, and I've been getting mad into. In the last week, I've been more into Theosophy than I have been into the Tantra stuff. But I'm still kind of ticking away. I watched an awful lot of Christopher Wallace's lectures on his school of Tantra. But it's not that much different than the kind of stuff that we the non-dual stuff. Like it's essentially that. So there's no like big kind of new philosophy or anything, but just a couple of little things, that it's there'd be an awful lot more kind of in Wallace's kind of approach that, how he would say approach the equivalent of binding, I suppose, from the Magia stuff that people might be familiar with, or shadow work or something like that. And this kind of idea of digesting emotions, that you build up these things that are called kulpas, or it's called samskaras. So like these are undigested, not events. The events happen, but you didn't absorb the emotion from it or whatever. So they're a thing that they are kind of hanging around, that you in some way have to.
Okay. So something you haven't dealt with, like, yeah. Okay.
So it's the same. It's like a shadow thing, but it's more like the role thing. When you're kind of looking at specific incidences of this thing playing out.
Right.
So it's a bit like that, but none of them are exactly the same, and it's probably unfair to try to equivalize them or whatever. But they're in the same. They're pointing at the same thing, trying to sort your shit out. That's their equivalent in that way. And it's this good thing that I've been really, really kind of trying to work with, trying to do this sadness thing that I've talked about before, which is just totally getting out of hand at the minute. To be very honest about it. So his thing about digestion is so if you feel that the emotion is coming from outside. So say you're having an argument with someone and or you're thinking, in some way it feels it's outside, that it's coming at you, that there's some sort of, say the Ukraine, the Russian thing, that's outside, that's coming at you. It's not, it's not something that's dwelling inside from your childhood or whatever. So it's ostensibly outside you. He would also make the point that stuff inside is also outside, but we'll get to that in a minute. So it's to open your heart area, and let it go in, but also to make sure that you open the back of your heart and let it go through. So you're not blocking it, you're not resisting it, you're not trying to push it away, you're not trying to explain it, you're not to tell a story about it, not anything, you just let it go through you. So I've been trying to do that. Sometimes successfully, sometimes not. Sometimes it just kind of hangs around going, no, I'm going to have this fear, thanks very much, I'm going to enjoy this. There's a bit of worry. But that seems to be, because you're not, then they're saying, like, from a kind of energetic point of view, you're not holding on to it, because if it's Ukraine and Russia or whoever, bank manager shouting at you, school teacher.
So come on, let me ask you. So yes. on my thing then with Ukraine, to let that through? Like, what is the right the correct reaction? Then is just to get the passports ready, get the tickets ready.
No. It's to stop telling the story around it and just let the emotion go through you. So it would be a case of look at the actual feeling that's happening. Okay. That rather than the story.
So fear or anxiety or something.
Yeah. But even don't so quickly try to label it, because you can kind of find when you do this is that you'll immediately go, oh, that's anger, and then you go, is that anger, or is that, immediately you labeled it and you just kind of go, well, put no name on it, just look at it with no name. It can be just like, again, you're going to go straight into names, but like it's a hollow, it's a tightness, but as much as possible, don't do that. Try as little as you can to label it, tell a story about it, explain it, justify it, any of that. Just see it as what it actually is, And it's same as in the image you said, look just to see, not to explain. And then so let that then, rather than trying to push it away and go, no, I'll deal with that later, or I don't want to think about that, or it, let it in, let it at you, but don't keep it. Let it just go then out the back, in and through, and that's the one way of digesting it, so that it doesn't hang around. You're letting it, in the kind of Tao sense or the Chi sense, you're letting you're going with the flow of it or whatever. But trying to resist it will make it hang around. And then telling a story about it will also make it hang around, because you've turned it into something. Excuse me. So the second one, does that make sense? And this is also my understanding.
It makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
So I might be explaining a thing, but that's what I might be explaining differently or understanding it different than he does. But that's what I've got from it. That's the best I can think.
Right.
So then the one that when it dwells inside you. So say you're thinking about an incident that happened 2 years ago, you and your friend, and he said something shitty about your ears. I don't know what he said. It's something that happened to you. Your ears are weird, Spud. I don't like your ears. You should feel bad about yourself and your weird ears. And you go, oh, fuck him. And then, you're sitting there just watching, I don't know, Kojak and Tally.
Legolas is on Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
But then it hits you, the ears.
Something reminds you. And then so it just you can feel it bubbling up, and there it is inside you. And it's like, So while he was saying that the other stuff is definitely external, and these things that bubble up inside you, the anger, the resentment, the hatred, and I suppose positive ones too, they feel like they're more yours. But he says they're also external too, because the cause of those things more than likely and usually and probably happened years before you were even born. That, it's like if you have a particular, if your father was jealous, say, then you learn to be jealous, and you kind of go, well, that's bubbling up in me, that's mine. But the cause of that was originally not to justify it or say it's not my fault, but that originated with your father, and it probably originated with something he picked up. If you're to believe this whole roles thing, and it could be centuries ago when that initial thing started. So while it feels yours, it's also probably not yours originally in its original kind of form. That's kind of an aside, I suppose, in the digestion.
So it's like the cucumber thing. I don't like cucumbers because I have a certain gene, but that gene came from great
only on an emotional thing. Yeah, it's that kind of thing.
But they don't remember what came up before epigenetics. Epigenetics. Like your genes can change on emotions.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So like no one in my family likes cucumbers except my sibling does. But there's loads of people in my family just can't stomach cucumbers.
Listen, it's not two tastes of cucumber. You can have the salty one or the people just like you can taste it in two different ways, and it depends on your genes.
Is that right? Yeah.
You have the one. Well, obviously makes it taste like shit, and now you have the one.
I can't eat like if Aga has had a cucumber on the cutting board, it just makes me it's rotten. It's just disgusting. I don't get cucumbers at all.
To me, there's a very, very real subtle taste to it. There's no taste to it at all. So it's obvious,
isn't it?
Yeah. So think of that then only on I suppose on an emotional level, or if you want to be more on the energetic level or whatever. I would love to know if someone has a lecture or something that would explain, because I've looked for it and I can't really find it, what actually is happening in your body when you're having an emotion. What's the physical thing that's happening? Because it's something I've tried to find. I haven't extensively looked, but I have kind of looked. Like, what is going on in your body when you're feeling sad? Like, is there things moving? Is it what? Because sometimes it doesn't feel in your body. But there has to be there's some sort of physical element to emotions. I'm assuming it's not.
Do you mean like what's going on in your brain and what that does to parts of your body, or?
Well, yes and no. In that, when I'm feeling sad, say, or I'm feeling butterflies, what is actually that? What is that thing that's happening? Just in a kind of an aside, because I don't really know, and I would like to know the actual physical thing, because I don't know. That's just one of those things. And I'm sure it's a lot of it's the solar plexus stuff. That's it's a bunch of nerves. So I'm sure they're tingling or whatever, or something like that. That's gone off or tingling. So yeah. Anyway, so he says to digest that is bring it up to your heart, and to stop telling a story about it. So if you're thinking about the guy who said your ears are weird, so you bring it up and you stop telling a story. So you stop thinking about the ears are weird, my friend, what that means, and you just look at what the actual feeling is, without telling a story about, without describing it, or without. And so you're going to have to describe it, because maybe people can look at it without describing it in some way. I find that I still kind of describe it. I try as best just to sit with what it actually is, and you start seeing the impermanence of it, the ebb and flow, that it'll dissipate of its own thing, and eventually, when you stop telling the story about it, you stop reiterating it, recapitulating it, and all that eventually you would digest it, and that is no longer a case, for you. And I have a good example of it if you want one. So years ago, when I was in a pub with a load of my friends, and the song Golden Brown by the Stranglers.
Oh, yeah.
So in my head growing up, there was that line with my mind she runs, right? So that's what actually line is. In my head I got it, it's with my man she runs, as an award. And I said it in the pub, as you do, because she just goes, oh, that's what that is, or whatever, and everyone laughed at me. And I was like, oh, hugely embarrassing, and I noticed in that moment that how wrong I was, and blah, 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 blah. And so anytime I think of that has this kind of a thing. So I said, well, that's a great one to do, because it's not life-defining. We had great night after it, you know what I mean? People weren't, I'm from Dundalk, so people definitely were talking about me for the next 3 or 4 weeks. But it wasn't its thing, but it's enough of a raw emotion to sit with. So I sat with it, just looked at it, what it was, allowed it, things. So every time now that comes up, it's lesser and lesser and lesser and lesser, to the point now that I can sit in podcasts and not care about it at all. So it does work in those kind of those ways of, and it's more than just exposing you. It's not thinking of the thing over and over again until you're bored of it. It's not having the argument over and over again with the person until you just go, I'm bored of it. It's stopping the story seems to be the bit that, at least for me, seems to work and allows the thing to go away, because you're separating the reaction to the story, and the story's probably just wrong anyway. Not wrong, because these things that you're remembering from the past, whatever, or you're only remembering the last time you remembered it. So if you've been doing it for
you probably have it upside down because you didn't understand something at the time, and that's probably why you were, you might have got embarrassed by the situation or sad over it, because you didn't at the time. You brought some bias into it, and you understood it wrong, and you might have reacted in a way that in a wrong way.
And also the hubris in the thing was that I was right, and then no, I'm completely wrong, and that there's the embarrassment, and there's the all of that, and it's actually, that whole thing is about that emotion, rather, and like the actual content is mostly irrelevant. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. It's the shame, the whatever. That's the kind of thing that hangs on, and then you tell a story around it to justify it.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff in the Tantra stuff I kind of really like, because it's practical, and this is the kind of stuff that we come back to earlier on when we were talking about, it's great all being one, and heart chakras and love everything and feel. Yeah, it's right. Okay, what good is any of the spiritual stuff if it's not making your life any better? And I know there's a whole point in spirituality where they're saying that's kind of irrelevant. There's a separation between church and state in many ways of spirituality and your life, and that your life doesn't really, in a sense, particularly with the theosophy stuff that I'm coming at, it's kind of your individual life is not, don't take so seriously. And that it's serious to you, but in the grand scheme of things, it's nothing. So we're more worried about, group thought or, the evolution of humanity, whatever. Because that's great, and I'm all for that. And that, that is how we're going to solve all this, if it is solvable. I also still have to deal with me, on a kind of micro level. And I like the kind of idea of that, and it's the Charles Eisenstein stuff, which as well, he's somewhat, I suppose, problematic, but he has some really good, nice things. That's just that you fixing you is you fixing the universe.
Yeah.
And I really like that. Because talking about like the Kybalion stuff that we're going to talk about later on as well, that the correspondence thing, that definitely feel there is, your worth, that there is a worth in you in doing these things that's more than just for yourself.
Of course, it's like that thing, man. How many times have you heard people say, "Oh, I don't like people"? Nah, you don't like yourself.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Do you know what I mean? Learn to like yourself and you don't like people.
On many levels, like there's only one person in the room, non-dual. So if you don't like other people, look at that. But also, you don't like yourself around other people and all that. Like some people, there is some people I don't like, and rightly so. It's not that you have to love everyone either. That's not the point of that, I don't think. But
no, it's not the point. I was listening to Ram Dass's Is it Be Love Now, the name of the book? Be Here Now was the first one, and Be Love Now was a more recent one.
Right.
And he was talking about, it's mad in the book, like he talks about how much he loved his guru Maharajji. It's hard for it to come across in the book because I don't quite get the love that he has for him, in that have I ever loved a teacher? I've been lucky enough. I've had some great teachers over the years, but I wouldn't say I've loved them, liked them. Maybe love, push it a little, maybe, okay? To like in a way that I love all people kind of way. But the way that Ram Dass talks about Maharajji, like he actually fucking like full heart on just like the love you have for your children or your wife.
It's that because again this comes up in the Tantra, and it's the guru stuff, and the relationship between the guru, and that it's in some sense one of the things that you have to do is cultivate this, in that you see the divine in your teacher.
Well, this is it. It's just like Ram Dass says that, like, when you first met Maharajji, like they knew that he was a living saint, and Maharajji's thing was just this unconditional love that he had for everyone. You see photos of him, he's just this, kind of overweight dude, little short guy, wrapped in a blanket all the time. It was like, really? Hey, yeah. Okay, all right, fair enough. And it's like, I don't quite get it from the books of his that I've read and all the lectures and stuff I've heard about him and stuff like that. But,
and he's a problematic man, the Maharishi, as well. Like there is certainly stuff.
No, but it's different fella though. It's different fella.
Is it? Right,
Maharajji.
Right.
Maharajji is this fella. It ends with a J-I-I. Right.
I'm still going to hazard a guess that he's problematic in some areas. Just on experience of all these other guys.
Don't know. I haven't found that in yet. But then again, there's like he didn't write anything. There's books written about him by dedicated followers. Ram Dass has 2, a few other lads have ones as well and stuff. But anyway, he has this thing in the book where he's talking about he came back from some other. He went to a Buddhist temple to do some meditation thing, and he came back then to his guru, who's from the kind of Hindu or Vedantic tradition.
Okay.
And I like the way they used to do that over there. Like, it's kind of, you can put your toe in and out of this. You don't have to be just committed to the Hindu line of things. But anyway, so he comes back and he walks in and he's all happy. He's going to see his guru, and the guru is having an argument with the chef. And one of the guru's disciples is with Ram Dass, and he's like, everything okay? And he's like, he's fighting. I thought, like, what? He's supposed to have this unconditional love for everyone. Yeah. And he just said, Ram Dass, it's okay, you'll see. So the next day then, he calls him over and he's like, is everything all right, Ram Dass? He says, yeah, yesterday I saw you arguing with the chef. And he's like, well, you can argue with someone and still have them in your heart. I was like, I know, I get you. Because it's like what you were saying there earlier, like, you don't have to like everyone, but you can still love people without liking them, which is a hard one. It's a really hard one, I think. Yeah. So,
but in one sense, though, it's easy too, in that you can love them from like as a concept, whatever, love for humanity without the specific stuff, you know. I think sometimes it's harder to love someone specifically who you dislike, which is why the meta stuff, the meta meditation can be quite useful in that you're deliberately choosing someone who you know, say fucking hate or whatever, and you go, right, I really do try my best to wish you well, to be happy. And it's about
do you remember we did a video a good while ago about your man, the crazy wisdom guy. He was in the car crash in Scotland, used to drink, smoke, Buddhist Rinpoche something. Was that his name?
Yeah.
He comes up in it, and Ram Dass had spent some time with him in England, and he's like, it made him really, really uncomfortable to see him engage with these vices of drinking, gambling, women, all that kind of stuff. But then he said that when he came back to, I think, America or India, or wherever he ended up next, he was able to put two and two together, and he was like, you know what, actually no, what he was doing was he's bringing people through their karma, and he's trying to make them use up. It's kind of like, you know, like if you catch a kid smoking, you're supposed to sit down with him and say, you're smoking the full packet now. You know, kind of that way. Or, you know, you find him with 6 cans and you're like, right, how many have you had? 1, right? You're drinking all of them now. Just make them as sick as a dog so that they won't drink again, you know? So, but he was saying like this is also a type of love. He's getting them he's putting them through all their desires until it wears them out. Like, oh, that's an interesting way of doing it.
Yeah, but
or he might just be making an excuse, and your man like to drink, smoke, and have sex with women.
Which, in fairness, I think is the case. But the William Blake book, the John Higgs book, where they talk about that kind of society he was in, is it that one where they just kind of indulged all their kind of their fantasies, or whatever. Maybe it's a Crowley thing I'm thinking of, then mix up. But there was something where they just were like, if you want to have sex with everyone, have sex with everyone's wives, just do it, get it all out, and you do it for now, and then you have the rest of the day where you're just normal. You know, you go, well, and right. I don't have these things in the back of my mind when I'm meditating. You know, I don't, I'm not fantasizing about it. It's done, it's gone, it's out. Yeah, move along. But, there's an awful lot of people go, in principle that might work, but also I think they're just excuses for having a good time, which is fine, you know, if you want to be. But I know, I think that there seems to be more to the story than I know about your man Trump, whatever his name is. I can't pronounce it.
Yeah.
But I've seen a few things on Reddit recently that I just didn't follow through. But that there's like actual, you know, bad stuff that he's done rather than just being a kind of a rascal.
Okay.
But I don't know. I can't. That's and Reddit has been known to be wrong about things.
The Be Here Now book is quite good though. The first part of it is if you've watched any of the documentaries we've spoken about, you don't need to read that bit. Second part of the book is all these like mad illustrations where he was obviously just writing down notes in his notebook and illustrating them, and then he came back then and wrote the book. But the third part of the book is excellent. It's all about the metaphysics of just meditating and being on the spiritual road. It's really, really good. It's fucking really good, the third part.
And it's super cheap as well. I think it's like £6 or £7 on Amazon or something for the book, isn't it?
There's new versions of it with more bells and whistles though. So like I think one I saw was about £20 or so, which is still isn't too bad.
Yeah, it's unscribed, anyway. Most last time.
Yeah. That's where I got it unscribed.
Scribed.
Great. Well worth the read. So it is. You know.
That would have been a big book in my sister when she was at college and stuff. So I would have read it then. But that's 25 years ago. I must read it again.
Yeah.
Because
I love him, man. I have a lot of time for him. I'm really. I've gone watching a lot of Ram Dass and kind of that tradition of stuff. I'm into this.
Is it Fadaita? Is that is it the non-dual? Is that his tradition or what?
Yeah. It would be. But he came from the Maharaj Ji. His teacher was all about love, basically. You know, love and serving, because his deity was Hanuman. Hanuman was the monkey god. Yeah, it was kind of an interesting figure because he's like the monkey, like God is up there and he says, come back, let's be non-dual. And the monkey's like, no, I love serving you so much. Come on, it's okay. And the monkey's like, no man, I love this. I just want to I want to show my love by serving you. He's like, yeah, but you can be all one together. And he's like, I know, but I'm giving that up. I know, but I'm giving that up because I love you so much. It's like, jeez, that's lovely. Monkeys having these nice emotions, you know.
So it's like the Bodhisattva thing. That
Yeah. But as well, it's kind of this weird, like, it's not just this, the Hindu line of stuff. Because like I said, like, he was going off to do Buddhist retreats all over Buddhist lands and dipping his toes in the different traditions and learning from them, and then coming back to his guru, and he'd tell him, and the guru would be like, oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. You can do that. You know, like, just, I mean, so it's like, chaos spirituality. Go for it. And they don't seem to mind it.
Yeah, they talk a bit about that in the Tantra stuff as well, where they're saying that the kind of try out different gurus, or not even gurus, but different kind of thoughts and different kind of things, and that not to accept anything from anyone until you have it in your direct experience. That's the kind of not to accept anything on faith, but there also is a point that there is at some point you're going to have a faith and thing to, in order to seek these things anyway, you have to have the faith that this actually exists. You wouldn't go looking for it, so it's not. But I do think that it's important that, that to go and expose yourself to other things, particularly even when you think you found your thing, whatever it is, that you found your path, to then, it's like, to then also then not, to go, oh no, I'm into, non-dual, that's it, and then go, I'm never reading anything about duality again because I've already found it. Well, I think it's important to still expose yourself to these other things.
Of course.
They can inform parts of your, or even point at bits that you go, oh well, I haven't that fully formed in my head because that doesn't seem to work, or whatever it is. It's the same thing. It's don't always just listen to people who you agree with. I think that's important, and more definitely as a society getting more and more to only being allowed to listen to people who agree with a certain line, or a certain kind of tract, which I think is it'll burst that. Burst.
Yeah. Look, there's nothing more boring than talking to people who read the Guardian all the time. or people who only read the Telegraph all the time.
Yeah, or don't read either.
It's just picking, dip in and out with stuff you don't like every now and again, just for the crack. Turn on Fox News just for the crack and see what Sean Hannity's. Is Sean Hannity still on it? Who's the other guy? Tucker Carlson. He's crazy. Did you see the other day?
One of them is.
He was complaining about M+Ms.
I've been too sexy.
No, I think it was not being sexy enough. I think
changing it to be less sexy or something.
Yeah. They were taking off her high heels and putting her in flat shoes, and he was. How much money is this moron on? Like, what an amazing job!
Yeah, but at the same time, he's doing his job well because it was all over Reddit. Everyone was talking about it for another 3 days. But if you don't care,
well, that's true.
All you care about
it's
been talked about, then well done. He's winning that race. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Anyway, yeah. Look, I'll show an update on this. I'm dipping my toe into Raja Yoga. I'm going with this now, and I think I'm going to be at this for a while.
Cool. Do check out the Pantanjali. I used to call him Pantanjali, but I think it is Pantanjali because that is that's the Raja Yoga where it comes from. That's the
right. Yeah. I think that's what he studied and that's what he came up with, wasn't it?
Yeah, the 8 limbs are within that, but it's Now the Tantra stuff is opposed to Pantanjali. They have a fundamental disagreement on the nature of self in it, which is interesting. But we can discuss that later.
What's that?
One will purport that there is a self, one will purport there isn't. So that's.
Sure, Raja would say there isn't a self then, wouldn't it? Because it's all union with God.
Yeah, but there's
Tantra is there is a self.
No, Tantra, there's no self. It's just a full expression of God. I don't know exactly what the thing is. It's been a while since I looked at it, but I know that there is there is a split.
I thought Raja was the same then.
Well, it is, but it's like insane that the Buddha says there's no self, but there's like, the Buddhism, there's emptiness and stuff like that, but there is kind of in some forms of Buddhism, there's a thing of the knower and stuff like that. But I'm kind of, I remember when I was looking at it, I understood it, and it's just, it's part of my brain. It's I'm not recollecting it, but I know it's to do with the self. Anyway, there's some sort of kind of notion in it. But
I get you.
And open to be totally wrong, but there has to be some. Why is there why is there a barrier? Not a barrier. Why is there two paths then if they're exactly the same? So there has to be something. Although there's somewhat.
Or a third path, like Parmenides, which isn't a real one at all. Yeah.
There was never a third path in the first place.
There's a lot of hints of him in the documentary, isn't there? Come on, we'll do it.
There is, yeah. Right, so we do it, will we?
Yeah.
So So the Kybalion movie, the new movie, just out about the Kybalion. We have talked about the Kybalion before, but we've talked about it as when Spud first came across. It was one of the early ones. I actually listened to it this morning before it came on. It's from 2 years ago, nearly the 20th of May.
Was I still all skeptical and angry back then?
You're really positive in this. It'd be interesting if you so choose to listen to it and see how much you agree with it now of what you said. But we were really into reality transurfing at the time, and you're kind of relating it to that. There's some stuff in it I would suggest that you probably wouldn't agree with now, but definitely your enthusiasm, you can feel that you're really into it, and that this was when you're first discovering all of these things could exist.
I did like the book. I remember liking the book and going, and I remember being disappointed when I read about it was all, it's not a hoax, but it's not
it's a hoax.
What it claims to be. It was a hoax.
Yeah. So the book, The Kybalion, is a book about a book that doesn't exist, or at least there's no evidence of it existing ever. A book written by Hermes Trismegistus. Hermes the Thrice Great. The 3 times great. The Thrice? That is a word. Thrice Great, yeah.
The Thrice Great, yeah. Yeah. Trismegistus.
Hermes. Ah. So it's purporting, to use that word, to be the distillation of all the Hermetic knowledge of Egypt, bits of Greek. So that Hermetic lineage. But it was written in 1908, or it was released in 1908, and any of the kind of stuff that is written that seems to be translated from or transcribed from the Kybalion also seems to be a fiction. And there's kind of a notion that while it purports, why do I keep using that word? It's not even a great word. While it self-describes itself as hermetic, there's definitely a huge kind of backlash towards that to say it's not hermetic at all. But that's for each to decide. You can work that out for yourself. This movie is written by Mitch Horowitz, which we've talked about before. He'd be very much of the New Thought mentalists.
Come here. Yeah. I was watching this, right? And I was just going, because Tommy emailed a fella called Ronnie, who's the director of this, right? So I'm not still skinning anyone here. But so I'm watching this thing and I'm like, Jesus, Ronnie looks a lot like Mitch Horowitz. A bit older than Mitch Horowitz, because it's fucking ages since I saw him. I was like, yeah, he's got a cool biker jacket as well. Yeah. I was like, it looks like him, but a bit older. And then at the very end, it's like starring Mitch Horowitz. Like, that's Mitch Horowitz. He's just gotten older.
Yeah. So, so he wrote it, Ronnie directed it, but no, it's written by the two of them, but Mitch hosts it, so he's the voice of it. It's a great documentary, and it's done really well.
I loved it. Everyone, watch this. This is brilliant.
My problem is I think the Kybalion's shit. That's not true either. But my problem with the documentary is not with the documentary, it's with the Kybalion. So, and that's unfair in a sense about the because the documentary is so well made. And
that's brilliant. Yeah, great book. Yeah. It's great book. It's a great film.
The only kind of real kind of thing is that some of the kind of connections to make between the principals and the interviews are very tenuous and very kind of shoehorned in. That is kind of go, is this really what they're talking about? Is rhythm, and when you think of rhythm, you go, yeah, hypnotherapy. That's the first thing I think of when I think of rhythm. But I understand why they did it, and they like, even when Mitch is kind of introducing the thing, he does make the case of why rhythm is kind of like hip. We can get to that anyway. William Walker Atkins, or Swami Ramakaraka, whatever his name is. Mitch at the beginning comes out and very plainly says it was written by him guy. That's probably correct, but it's definitely not known fully. It's like even in the centenary edition of the Kybalion, it says it was most likely Atkins who wrote it, but we don't know. Like I said, Paul Foster Case was purported to have written. Oh, shut up with that fucking purported words. Jesus Christ, brain. Yeah, like, do you know any other words? Paul Foster Case also was suggested as being someone who wrote it, but that seems very unlikely. But it's just kind of matter of fact says, he wrote it, which it's not necessarily true.
What is the kind of thing of it then? So where did he get this? He says it's based on Hermes' Green Tablet books, yeah? So, but what did he base it on? Is it just from older Rosicrucian or?
Well, it's all based within the kind of New Thought thing, and the reason why people think it's him is because he wrote this. I think it's 6 books. The Arcane, I have it written here. The Arcane Teachings, Atkins wrote, which pretty much has similar, even sentences that are the same and all that. So it's from that. The Arcane Teachings, and it was also anonymous, but people know that it was written by Atkins. I have a note here that Mitch Horowitz pronounces the Kybalion very strange the first 3 or 4 times he says it in the documentary. And this is the book called the Kybalion. I was going, what's something wrong with you, Mitch? The Kybalion, as we would say in Ireland.
In Ireland, Kybalion.
Yeah, Kybalion. And it kind of, at the beginning, he says, and this is a quote, all the practices and modalities of the modern occult, channeling, mediumship, past lives, aggression, astrology, can all be related back to the Kybalion. Can it? I think that's slightly disingenuous. I don't think that's you could definitely make a case a lot of New Age thought comes from it. But you could say
they must be older. Yeah. They'd have to be.
Golden Dawn predates that. You know what I mean? All the spiritualist movement predates 1908. There was a whole all the Theosophy is 1880s onwards. Yeah. Which I would say makes a bigger impact on the occult. I'd say the Kybalion had a huge influence on New Age thinking, but so did Theosophy too, and Alice Bailey and all that. Down to even New Age is a coined term from Theosophy. But I just thought it's kind of the first thing where he comes in. He's like, and yeah, he wrote this, and this is it's like, I suppose as an introduction, you kind of have to big it up a bit. But I would take a slight issue. I also don't care too much.
When I saw the emails for this. And I saw the name of the film. I presumed, obviously, because I'm putting my bias on that. When you see the thing, this is a film about Kybalion. Sounds like a small village in Offaly or something. I'm from Kybalion.
Yeah.
I thought it was a film about the book, more about the
history
behind the book.
Yeah, rather I would like to see that. Yeah,
but saying that, it's I think it's a really good film, and you should all watch it.
It would have been nice to get the context of the history, put it in the context of the time it came out. Maybe someone at some stage talking, a retractor or distractor. What's that word? Someone who disagrees with the whole thing.
Detractor.
Detractor, yeah, so something like that. But I mean, you're have to think of this documentary in line with something like The Secret or something like that. It's trying to. It's
that awful documentary.
Yeah, but it's that, and
it's way better.
It's way better. But it's that kind of. We're trying to give you a system. This is documentary is going to change your life. We're not really trying to have a critique of the Kybalion. It's we're going to give you, the juicy bits. And we're really going to push it. And we're going to, puff it up a bit, which is fine. That's good. That's some. I understand.
I wouldn't, just me personally, I wouldn't go with the New Age message of the Kybalion, because New Age, New Thought. So I think New Thought is bollocks. I think all law of attraction is bullshit.
Yeah, but I suppose.
But at the same time, I think there is polarity in everything. I think there is gender in everything. I think there is correspondence in everything. There is rhythm in everything. I agree with most of the stuff that's in the book, but I wouldn't look at it through that lens of, good thoughts will mean I'll have a brand new souped up.
Well,
BMW
the vibration element of it definitely says that. But we can go through each of them if you want, because I have kind of notes on them. I don't know if that's what.
Yeah, I have notes as well. Yeah.
So the first the first statement of the Kybalion is that the world or the universe, the principle of mentalism, all is mind, the universe is mental. I think you can kind of an issue with that, depending on what way you want to define mental. But if if it was consciousness, yeah, okay. If it was awareness, yeah, I'm all right with that. It's kind of it's an assertion of idealism, I suppose, in the philosophical sense, that all happens within consciousness. But I suppose there is a kind of a notion that very easily could be kind of get into the whole thing of that if you change your mind, you change your thoughts, you change your life and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think it's quite saying that, to be honest. It's just saying that everything exists inside the one mind. All one.
There is a lot to that. I mean, Jesus, Marcus Aurelius was writing about that in his meditations. Like, And it's that thing of, like, look, what do you have control over? You have control over your reactions, okay? So how you see the world really just comes down to that. So the universe is mental based on that. And I get that. And I agree with it. But this thing of like, just thinking about a new BMW, for half an hour every day meditating, that's not going to fucking manifest a new BMW in your driveway.
So. No. But there is the kind of sense in this that mentalism is causation. Like that is kind of the notion when you're causing something to happen through your mental effort.
Well, I mean, it is if you look at it through what I said, through how you react to situations.
Yeah.
That way it works. But that thing of like what we're pointing at with the law of attraction stuff, that's no.
Yeah.
No. Just no.
Yeah, I see the causation thing kind of, what gets me is that I can definitely feel the mental thing can have an effect after the cause, in that I can choose to a large extent, can choose how to react to something or what I feel about it. But it's kind of, there's an assertion in this that how you feel about it is the cause of what happens too, which I'm not sold on.
Yeah, no, me either.
Yeah. So,
but also I don't read it that way. I read it the way that I.
Well, it's just because I was looking up on. I did a bit of Wikipedia, and it's the thing is the primacy of mind as the active cause of things. That's what the statement is saying. Is what it's saying.
Right.
So, but you see, if you can go my mind as the causation of things, not so much. Big mind, the causation of all things, fine. It's all happening in mind, so it's the causation. It's just. That it's just don't go to the law of attraction bit, and I'm kind of okay with it. As that because the reason why, because I fell for it, and I don't want people to fall for it, and it's horrible, and it leads to shitty places and really, dark places. So
can we put a flag in the law of attraction and just say no, don't, just stay away.
I like that. The interview with this one is a woman. And what I don't like as well, which I think they should have done, is give the names when the people are introduced, rather than just doing them at the end, because it doesn't tell them, usually when a documentary, when the first time you see the person.
I've that written down here too. Sometimes you don't see the names.
Yeah. Anyway, this one was Paula Roberts.
Her name though.
Yeah,
I think the only reason that she's in this is because she has an English accent. I have no idea why.
She seems like she'd be a great crack to sit beside at a wedding. She seems like she's good fun.
Oh yeah, I'm better than you. Yeah. I'm not from here. I have a gift. I'm from the Pleiades. Yada yada yada. Yeah. Fucking what's the thing white South Africans have? Superiority complex.
All right. Well, more than just South Africans. A lot of people have that. A lot of white people. She's like, Ingo Swann gets mentioned as well. So it's like, again, they're trying to bring in this thing that it's that you can access all of this kind of stuff, I suppose.
But I'd give her points for that though, because everyone likes him.
Yeah,
yeah. So
And I suppose the kind of thing you were saying, and we were talking about when the first time we talked about it, is that there's no experience that you can have or I can have, I have ever had, that hasn't happened outside of my brain or outside my mind, let's say.
Sure, yeah.
So when you say that it all is mental, you can't dispute it. But it because I have never had experience that's not mental, ever. Well, depending if you want to break down, well, I've had energetic experiences. Yeah, but I'm kind of filtering that through my mind. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, exactly. It's experience through your mind. Yeah. So yes, okay. Yeah. You win this argument, Kybalion.
So happy with that one. Once it's not taken in a stupid direction. Although there is the kind of that I will take issue with that. The mind as the active causative thing, depending on the perspective. But yeah. I don't think anyone.
There's a lot of boobs. There's a lot of boobs in this as well.
There's a lot of boobs.
Well, it's the same set of boobs, but they're in it a lot. There's a lot of willies as well. Yeah. I
kind of like that stuff. It gives it kind of that mystique. Between the interviews and the principles.
Them little cutscenes are brilliant. Really nice. So they're proper spooky and woo, and it's
it's similar to
there's
something
some
like
secret rituals going on, and it's good crack.
Like something from like Midsummer or something. Have you seen that film? It's really good if you have.
No, but I know what you're talking about. So
it's that kind of feel to it. So I really liked it, and it's obviously
they're great.
Put a bit of money and effort into it, so it looks really cool. Okay, so the second one is the principle of correspondence, which is as above, so below, as within, so without. The greater is found in the lesser is found in the greater. What is true for the major is true for the minor. I've no real kind of. I don't know. Yeah. I'm good with all.
Yeah,
of this.
look, this one makes sense because your man who comes on as an alchemist. He talks about making talismans, but he says that like in the work of the alchemist, okay, it can be to learn elements and to bring them together and to change them into something that's better or higher, but also it's the inner and outer work because it's unity of the soul with all of your parts, I suppose. And with the outer world, outer universe, that's the aim here. So it's like, I mean, yeah, all right, I'm on board. Yeah,
yeah, and it's that the whole notion of he talks about talismans, which is essentially taking getting an astrological moment in time and trying to encapsulate it in a thing. So it's like taking a Polaroid photo of an alignment, say, or it could be just a full moon or anything like that. That's kind of the basis of sympathetic magic, you know. So if you've read Advanced Magic for Beginners, that kind of how to do magic thing is essentially how to do sympathetic magic, whereas you do something to one thing which represents something. So you do something to the microcosm in order to affect the macrocosm, which is similar to what we were talking about earlier on with Charles Eisenstein's thing of that fixing something in you is fixing the universe, and that, you know, that not to think that you need to do big, huge acts and save the world. You know, clean your room, as someone once said. Yeah.
He also says in it that you could in Advanced Magic for Beginners, I mean, he also says that like when you're doing a ritual, see the ritual as the same thing as the aim of what you want.
Yeah.
So it's like by doing this ritual, this is part of the goal, or this is the goal, or this represents the goal. Sorry, this represents the goal.
Yeah. But it's also the same. It's exactly the same thing as what Zazen is in Zen. Is that enlightenment is you doing Zazen? That is it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's the thing that you're doing. Well, you should do it with no mind and no kind of plan or no desire. But the actual thing of doing what you're trying to get is the thing you're trying to get. So it's the same element. Yeah, I like that. I think it's, you know, it makes sense, and we can even see it from atoms to solar systems, and you know that they have a similar kind of thing. Now, I'm sure there's a million examples where it doesn't, you know, work. The microcosm is the macro, but as a general principle and a kind of not a scientific fact, as a way to approach things, 100% with it. You know, but like, I mean, don't you know, don't use it as financial advice to, you know, well, this euro I spent on Netflix stock, and I'll put in, you know, we'll need to, don't do the stuff there.
He had the cool thing with the snake dream, the snake.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
That was a bit mad. You know, I'll leave that for you to watch. It's it's good fun. But I like the way he said. I wrote it down. He says it's the in between things where. Obviously, then was the way he said it, because the way I've written it doesn't sound very good at all. He says the in between things is where everything kind of comes together, and yeah, no, that's not really as good. Just written down there. I need his accent.
Just when you're watching it and he says thing, go, that's the thing Spud was on about. Yeah,
now I get it. Yeah. It's because I don't remember the context of it, how he was saying it. That's what it was. Oh well, sorry.
The next one is the one I have the most issue with, only because of where it went. The principle of vibration. Vibes, man. It's kind of, how it's described is nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. I think that's true, right? That's you know, at the fundamental levels, it isn't like atoms and electrons. It's a vibration. I think kind of, this is where we start getting into, and it's probably not the fault of the Kybalion, because I haven't actually read the Kybalion in a long while, so I don't know what it actually says, but this is definitely what the New Age took and ran with regards to what you give out, and you can become aligned, you know, because it's kind of saying that you vibrate in the same kind of, on the same wavelength as the things you want, or the things you want to, you know, have or be or do or whatever, and that if something is out of alignment with you, then, you know, you need to change your thoughts around it. And I think that's where you get into problems with the things we've talked ad nauseum about, the spiritual bypassing, the victim blaming, the blah, blah, blah. But I think this is where it's coming from, you know, and whether that's the fault of the Kybalion or not, this is where it came from, you know, that this kind of idea that you have to align yourself, and if you're not aligned, then it's kind of your fault. But I don't know.
Surely it's that you're already aligned, you just don't see it. Isn't that proper teaching, the non-duality teaching of it anyway?
Yeah, and there's still, like in TaSTA, which I find really, really helpful around vibration, because it kind of explains it in terms of colours rather than strict vibration. So it's kind of like, say, you're red, right? And the earth is blue. And then your family is green. So when you come into that, you become a mix of all of these kind of things. And it's so like that's how your vibration is happening. That you become like influenced by these kind of things. Okay. And so you can, so I kind of like that more than that. If you and what the point of that, you have to work that out too. Or it's like your soul can have a different color than your personality. And so if that's the rays they're called. So if you're blue, say, or if you're red, but your soul is green, you're going to have a particular type of color or hue or vibration or whatever.
I get you.
I feel when you think of it more in regards to colors, you can see a mix happening that you can't when you're talking about vibes, man. It's either one or the other. You're either vibrating with it or you're not. You're repulsed or you're attracted. And I think I like the kind of color where you go, oh well, these kind of pendulums are all kind of moving in together, and they're all affecting each other and doing all that kind of stuff. And then some colors will obviously repel other colours, some will absorb more, all of that kind of stuff. I think, like, again, not saying, I'm certainly not saying, I think Theosophy is saying, but that, I think it's a helpful way to kind of look at things. All right, I can kind of see it in that way. So I find that, I definitely think there's something in the vibration things, but it's just, again, it's where it leads to is the kind of issue with it. And also, to talk about string theory, string theory is not exactly accepted, is it, as a thing that's...
I thought it was gone.
Yeah, because it's the kind
of... it was.
It's just one of those kind of things that, let's bring up quantum physics, which they don't really do, in fairness, because it's... but to go, let's bring up string theory, which is it a form of quantum physics? I'm not really sure. But I got a quote: "String theory is a beautiful mathematical construction, but beauty does not always agree with reality. And moreover, there are no ways to test the fidelity of this theory with experiments," which is why I think it's kind of dropped. Because I
thought it was gone, I presume there's still plenty of people working on it and trying to figure it out, but I thought it was more like it came along there, it must be 15, 20 years ago. People thought they had it. And then it's just kind of gone now, because I think someone somehow just said no because this, and I thought that was the end of it for most people.
Right.
I was surprised.
I thought that was... in my head, it was a done deal, kind of, that was a nice idea, but didn't work out. But I mean, the vibe things. I mean, it's clearly an influence. There's clearly something there. I mean, we can see it working out in our lives.
I mean, what does it say? Nothing rests, everything moves. Like, I like that is the everything's temporary thing.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the things that I would say take from this, rather than you have to be on this level of vibration to this. Because I actually believe we're already on it, we just don't see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, for example, a clairvoyant. I can also be a clairvoyant. It's not like... You can teach yourself to be a clairvoyant. You can teach yourself to be a hypnotist. You can teach yourself to be a good tarot reader. You can teach yourself to be a musician. Now, you mightn't be as good as Beethoven, but you'll still be able to lash out a Beatles song at a drinking party.
Yeah.
So... I think it's this. I think we're all on. We all have the book available to us. It's up to us to turn it to the right kind of page. That makes sense.
Yeah, and I think even going back to the rays thing, the theosophy, just because I was reading about it last night, it was just my head goes, this is really cool. But I have come across before. It's not the first thing, but that kind of notion that if you have a certain ray or color or vibration or whatever, that you're more going to be in tune with the, being able to play music than someone who has a thing. And it's like, but it doesn't mean that you're not, that you can't. There's very few people. When I was teaching guitar, there was one guy and he literally no rhythm, and I said, I don't believe that anyone has literally no rhythm. I think if you persevere
until I met you,
it might take you a bit longer to get it or whatever, but you will get it. And ultimately, it was proven right, and he can play guitar as at parties and everyone's happy, but he had literally no rhythm. So there, like, even hopeless cases can improve. Of course. Good. Should we go on to the next one? Are we happy with that?
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah. Your one has an emotional moment, which is very sweet. Very nice.
I was very sad.
With the baby. No, what I was saying, very sweet. It was very sad.
Very sad.
But it was sweet that she still had
sweet. Sweet in the bitterness thing that that.
Yeah.
Very sad.
The baby thing is very sad, but we'll leave that for you. A very good addition to it. Very good that she spoke about that experience.
Yeah.
It was really good.
So number 4 is the principle of polarity. As you can see, things start to overlap. Things are kind of same things kind of being said in slightly different ways. And the kind of one of the things that people say about the Kybalion, that the reason why they pick 7, because 7 is the it's a cult number. There's lots of stuff around 7. The entire of Theosophy is based on 7. So it's a thing that's it's about. So people kind of say that they try to make it into 7, right? And it doesn't really need to be 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
5 would have been enough.
Yeah. But 7's fine. Why not? You need to write a book. You know what I mean? You need a few chapters. So everything is dual. Everything is poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. Everything is true. Nothing is permitted. That's not in it. That's me. So the idea with this is that fear and love, or not, that's debatable. Sadness and happiness are the same thing, just at the other end of the spectrums. It's the one kind of thing. And with the kind of thing that if you're sad, just think of the opposite emotion and it will swing you to the next thing. But it's kind of talking about in the polarity of that there's no, in the book, I remember reading this comment, but there's no real point where hot turns into cold, that there's no point where you can point at, and there's no ultimate hot and no ultimate cold. It's all just a kind of a thing, which kind of then disagrees with it when it comes to the rhythm in the next one, which kind of says it swings from one extreme to the other. But in this one, so this might maybe why they're separated, because they're talking of two different things. So if you're sad, you concentrate on being happy. Well, again, this is slightly problematic, and it could lead to forced positivity, or not even that, but there's a chance of suppression of emotions. Where you're not allowing yourself to feel sad. That I must keep happy thoughts, must keep happy thoughts, must keep happy thoughts. But there's this kind of that negativity only leads to more negativity, and positivity only leads to more positivity.
Fucking delusion.
I mean, positivity, like that will, one example of where positivity won't always lead to positivity is that it can give you false hope, which will lead to negativity. Because if the thing doesn't actually work out, I will get the job, I will get the job, I will get the job. Oh, I didn't get the job.
It's all my fault. I'm a bad person. I hate myself. Well, then they'd say, well, then you have to love yourself.
But again, I do think that I think sadness and happiness are the same thing. I do believe that. It's the same emotion on one end of the thing.
I would too.
Or life and death, dark and lightness. That's the most obvious example, because it's like people say one is the absence of the other, but I mean, you're getting into, you can't have dark without light, because it would just be dark. There would be nothing else.
Of course,
so I mean, it doesn't exist without, it would just be the thing that is. And so it's that kind of, in the Kabbalah thing, it's Bina. It's a moment when the things separate into the two different bits, and it's so you can contrast, and so you can understand that, and you can know that there's something there that isn't you, or there's something here that isn't that. And that's how, that's the basis of creation, is that's the first split in God is when he did that, or she did that, depending on who, or it did that. But the Raymond Moody stuff is interesting. It kind of was one of those ones that I wasn't really fully sure how it fit in exactly with what we're talking about. But it's essentially just life and death, isn't it? That's the polarity. Is the aim on this interview. Would you do you know him? He's super famous. He's a super famous. He wrote the book Life After Life, and what of Life After Death. Is it? No, Life. One of them. He wrote both. There's two books that is the same kind of name. But he's the first guy to really look into near-death experiences.
Right.
And popularised all of that kind of stuff. God, I can't breathe. Breathing and not breathing are exactly the same.
Wait, is this the fella? Has he come up in stuff before where he did the research with children? Is it him?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Fella, is it? Okay.
He's the guy.
There's one fella who's meant to be shit hot at the near-death experience stuff, and he kind of concentrated on the experiences of children and having who had past life memories, and investigating them while they were still young and still had.
Right. I'm not sure he's a past life guy. He's more the near death
different guy
thing.
then.
Yeah,
Okay.
but he might have wrote books in past. I don't know. I know him as the near death guy.
Right,
but he also got into these things, the psychomantium stuff, where it's, the black mirror gazing, and he's kind of known about that at the minute. He talks about that in the documentary, where you bring it into a dark room and you put the black mirror above.
Yeah.
So you can't see them, so you can't see your own reflection. You're meant to put it. Not you're meant to. You can put a candle behind you so that there's light in the room, but it's not.
Yeah, reflects. Yeah.
All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But there's interesting stuff out of that.
There's hints of our former sponsor, Peter Kingsley. How long did we do there? An hour and 20.
Yeah.
Because they talks about like the Greeks and the Egyptians used to take people, or there are caves where people used to have meditations and stuff.
Yeah.
In them. So he gets his first one. He comes up in the next one as well. It doesn't come up, but kind of hints of him.
Hints at the incubation's kind of mentioned in
hints at Kingsley without naming him. I like this fella. There was a funny bit I laughed at where it's kind of like he talks about these typical near-death experiences where people see themselves and they're brought into kind of a consciousness. Where they hear a doctor saying, "Oh, we're losing them," or we lost them, or we, or whatever, and then they kind of like, "Whoa, hey, buddy, whoa, I'm here, hey, what's the?" And then they step off the what's it called, a gurney, and then they walk out into the hall and they walk up to the bright light, and then I like the way he said you're given this panorama of your life, and you kind of see what went right and wrong and all this stuff, and then there's apparently, depending on the person, you're given a few different options. It's kind of like, what did you learn to love? Or are you ready to come with us? Do you want to go back? Or it's like, yeah, you're not ready. You have to go back. But he said that, like, obviously all the people he's spoken to chose to come back or were sent back. But he's like, but the thing they've all said, and this is the bit I laughed at, is that they all came back for the kids. So what we say on the podcast many times, children ruin everything. You know what I mean? The one bit of happiness you do get after a crappy life.
Oh, better go back.
God-forsaken planet. Fucking hell! They don't even know how to make sandwiches. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back. I'm not ready, God. I'm sorry. I'm a fuck up and a lout. I haven't taught them anything. Thanks for the second opportunity. All right, I'll be better.
And then you go back to exactly the same person you also having learned nothing. There was a good one that I read about because they were always talking about people in the near-death experience, rising above the body. So one of the things that they did is to put a symbol on like a machine or a locker or something. I don't think there'd be a locker in a surgery, but something up so that if someone did raise above the body, they could describe it. And some people could. So there you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But the polarity. Okay. Yeah. It's but again.
Oh yeah, I mean, sure. Yeah. I'm totally with the polarity thing as well. I'm on board with that.
With the caveat of all the things that can go wrong if you take that to the wrong way.
Yeah. But I think the important thing to take from it is the transcending of the polarity of it, seeing that happiness is an opposite of sadness. What am I actually looking at here? And where am I on this scale, and what am I actually looking at? Because I need to understand and not be above it, but. Kind of be above.
Well, it leads to grasping either way. Like it's you end up if you're trying to, that whole thing of the clinging to it, or whatever, is knowing that you're not going to be satisfied by the thing because it's part of it is sadness, blah, and there's impairments, blah blah blah. Anyway, grand. The principle of rhythm, number 5. This is all about drumming and paradiddles and
and a hypnotist who's not a drummer, it would seem.
Yeah. I felt that there was a bit kind of the hypnotism thing I did. But what would you going to do for rhythm? Who are you going to, is this the rhythm? Is the pendulum I'm putting you to sleep? There's a kind of they're talking about the rhythms and flows of life, I suppose. Yeah. But anyway, I'll read what it is. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. Which, of course, as we're saying, is in opposition to what it said in the last one but there's no extremes. So take which one works in the example or thing.
How would you work this? How would you tie this in with it? Well, I suppose with the polarity one is that there's two extremes, but with the rhythm one is that during your life you will experience the two different extremes, but it's also to be able to see it and be above it, transcend it, see it for what it is. Yeah. That's the way I would see it.
Yeah. And I'll tell you the problem with it.
Right, here we go.
Yeah, the problem with it is saying that for every good
When did you become Sledgehammer Spud? What the fuck's going on here?
It's the pendulum swing from one side.
Pendulum. There we go. Nice.
For every good thing that happens, there has to be an equal bad thing that happens, right? That's
okay. Yeah.
So I have to be scared when something good happens to me because an equal bad thing is going to happen to me.
Okay, yeah, you got me there.
So
that's a bad way of living.
That's a bad one. That's a bad one. That's the shitty karma that we have. Oh, in a worse way, because it's not if I do something good will happen to me, which is, maybe not true, but it's a nice thought to have. But if I do something good, something bad is going to happen.
Yeah.
To come to it, every action has an equal but opposite reaction. Let's not bring that into a waking world. Because the best thing to do is to treat your kids shit so they'll have a good life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they'll have a good life.
yeah. Just be awful to your wife, because that will lead to good times.
Trauma is good. Yeah. Give them as much trauma as possible. Yeah.
We know in principle that this is what happens. You treat people badly and you get all the riches. That seems obvious. But I think when you're saying it more it's the good times, bad times, the Led Zeppelin thing. There's good times, there's bad times, and there's never not going to be good times and bad times. Although you're definitely guaranteed, not necessarily bad times, but you're definitely guaranteed challenges. You're not, I suppose, guaranteed happiness. But it would suggest that you are, in a sense, that there's the pendulum swing in and out, good times, bad times. But it's true, we know that you have the good times, the bad times. But I don't think thinking that having a good time is going to lead to a bad time to balance it, I think is not good. No. My favourite bit of this was the hypnotist past life regression of being the camel at the birth of Jesus Christ. The very famous camel in the story of Christ.
Did he even have camels?
It turns out that the woman that was hypnotised was
Did he even have camels in Jerusalem?
I'm not sure. It's like a well-known fact it was a donkey, right?
I know. Yeah, I know they're in Egypt, but and I know it's not that far. Like you can walk it. No one knows why Moses took 40 years, but you
maybe
do
the Magi or the wise men arrived in camels. Maybe it's one of those camels rather than an actual camel that was.
Yeah, but didn't they come from? Well, a couple of episodes ago they came from the Himalayas.
Yeah.
And a couple of episodes before that as well, they were from Persia. So
so they came on a camel, an elephant, or a pack of dogs in a sleigh. So
huskies.
Yeah. So it's kind of the thing you're saying about the hypnosis then is to try and break the patterns. I think that was the end that we're saying, that we can break these cyclical patterns that are happening by using the other things, by changing your mind, by vibing right, by looking at correspondences. I think so, but if it's a principle of the universe, then can you break it? I don't know. It falls a wee bit apart.
No, I think it was
could be just that I don't understand it.
He had this past life where he was a young lady married to Mr. Monopoly Man.
Oh, yeah.
He leaves her in the dust bowl and takes the kids, and she dies washing dishes.
Yeah.
And then his dad is gives him advice saying, "No, well, you are then the other side of that pendulum swing."
Yeah, he doesn't seem to like what his brother does with his life.
Because you can fix what your brother has been doing you.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah. Because he was off having fun, taking LSD, and it's like, not living his life. Okay.
Yeah, don't do that to your brother, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like he should have a right to reply to stuff like that. Yeah. Like you're just stopping in your brother on a big documentary like this, and your brother's like, "Whoa, man, what the fuck, man? They're my worst days, and you're profiting off my bad choices. What the fuck kind of brother are you?" So you haven't actually learned that, brother hypnotist.
Yeah.
You're not above this. You still have it. Yeah. Aha, see, I've cracked the code here, Tommy.
Cause and effect.
Yeah, the rhythm stuff. I don't understand why the hypnotist was in it.
Yeah. Because had to interview someone, I suppose. That's all I
should have got Dave Grohl.
Yeah. They could have done something rhythmic. Cause and effect. Number 6. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for a law not recognised. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. Yeah, I don't like this one. Don't think it's true. I think things do happen randomly. I think there's, randomly in the sense of you didn't cause it, I suppose. But I suppose it would say that something caused it.
Yeah, but maybe it's caused by something, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But it's just nothing is random or accidental. But yeah, maybe. Okay, I'll open myself to maybe. But
okay. I mean, okay. So you're walking down the stairs today and you trip and sprain your ankle. Like, oh, there's an accident. Well, yeah, okay. What caused it? Well, I stepped in the wrong place. My shoe was wet. Got it. There's 100 different reasons why it could happen. So yeah, okay. Everything that happens has a cause. Sure.
So like, I mean, if your child gets run over, why did it get run over? Because someone was in the car and
because a car hit him.
Yeah, but I think it's pointing to something more than that. That it's saying that's not an accident. This is like there's some sort of law. That's, maybe they're not saying it. Maybe that's the new age kind of splur on it. But it's like kind of nothing happens. Everything happens for a reason. Does it?
Yeah. You know what? I think that is the new age thing on
Look at it. Yeah.
But I reckon that Trismegistus, when he came up with the emerald tablets, I don't think that's what he meant to put out. No. I'd say that there is a reason behind everything. You mightn't see it. You might think it, you mightn't believe it, but there is a reason.
Yeah, it's like when we were
that's fair enough.
Talking about earlier about the Tantra stuff and saying if something arises in you that maybe you got from your father, that he got from his father, you might never know where that originated.
Exactly.
That thing. Exactly. Fully on board.
But there is an origin point of it.
Yeah, but that's the universe killed your child in order you to learn something. Bullshit.
No,
not having that.
No. Yeah. Don't do that to yourself.
So I think So I there's a thing you said in the previous podcast. I don't know where you got it from. It's either from this or from something else. But the quote was you said, "Most people are an effect and not a cause." And I go, "That's really good." And I really liked it at the time as well. But that like most people are reacting rather than causes, and so that's good. And that's this divination. So that is the interview with the. I found it very hard to understand. I have to say, I can't
reader.
To zone it out with her for some reason. I just couldn't really. And I watched it twice, and I still couldn't tell you about anything she said. So it's the divination kind of thing.
I put it down to nerves. I don't think she'd been interviewed much.
Right.
She didn't. Yeah, I think that's what that was.
So is the divination that we can see the cause and we can see the effect. We can look at these things. Is that the kind of a relationship?
Do you know, the idea I was getting off her was a bit like the Bernardo Kastrup thing of why we have stories, why we have myths, because we're not scientifically proven. We're not actually in control of our behaviors. Like we do things, and then like while we're picking up the pen, then we say, I wanted to pick up the pen. Whereas like, no, I didn't want to at all. Just pick it up. But I tell myself I wanted to.
Yeah, we tell a story.
He puts that to like, this is the whole reason like we even have myths if you bring it back far enough, because we have to tell ourselves stories because we need to learn how to behave in a moral, just, brave way kind of thing. So I think that's what she was saying with the tarot was that like, no matter what deck you use or who comes in or who crosses my palm with silver, whatever cards come up in the chance of probability, you'll always be able to weave a story from them that you will see, but also the person will interpret as well, which again, can't argue with that. Everyone, no matter who you pull your tarot cards for, even the biggest skeptic in the world, they'll find it. They'll see something in it. Yeah. If you just tell them point blank, these are the meanings, they'll put 2 and 2 together and they'll get something.
Unless they really don't want to, but that's a deliberate choice on their behalf.
Yeah, 3 tarot cards.
So the last one, the principle of gender.
God, this is awkward, huh?
It is, but I would say it's right. Hold on, I'll read it. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine, feminine principle. Gender manifests in all planes. If you change it to an active principle and a passive principle, all of the kind of annoyance goes out of it, or not the annoyance, the current zeitgeist problems.
Okay, what I mean is it's awkward because the chap they interview is really careful with his steps, or really careful with his words, not to upset anyone who gets upset about masculine, feminine things. That's what I meant.
Yeah,
it is awkward on him, the poor fella.
Yeah.
He does his best.
Yeah, he's an astrologer. He does well. It's kind of so the idea, if I'm grasping this right, is that there's an active principle and a passive principle, which we have called classically masculine and feminine, because one is ejaculatory and one is receiving. So,
said a funny word.
But but there's a third principle. It's the result of that. Is what is the thing that comes out of it, in a sense, the important thing. So, in kind of the idea of the creation of the world, you have the father, which represents as the masculine kind of energy, and one theory of the creation of the world, and who joins. So he's spirit, joins with matter, which is the feminine principle, to create whatever this is. And so matter being, of course, like where one of the could be argued mother is has a relation from that word. So you have the father and mother principle resulting in the son. This, so this kind of thing. So that's saying in all things, if that's the macrocosm, then in the microcosm, then all things should exhibit that kind of thing. So that it's. This will come back to the polarity. The meeting of these things creates, it's the lesser is found within the greater, the greater found within the lesser, and the result is something beyond both of them. Mm-hmm. So I don't disagree with any of that. Any of it. I think that's,
me either.
A true story.
I think it's fair enough. Yeah. People get scared when they see gender these days, but there's no, don't. There's if it's exactly what you said, there's a creative and a receptive. That's it. Yeah. Or a passive, what is it? A passive and an
active and a passive.
Active and a passive. There you are. It's the plus and minus on your battery. Yeah. That's all.
And also, you would probably have less of an issue with gender if you don't speak English, because most languages have genders and everyone's fine with it. So
exactly.
We don't as English speakers at all. Yeah. So we, a door is a door. It's neither male or female.
La mesa is Spanish for the table, but in French it's masculine. It's less something. And you get all these weird differences in different languages as well. Like in one language it's feminine, and the other language is
Well, we do kind of have it in English, because we have things like where a lot of people would consider the car to be a female, or their guitar, or everything. Maybe it'd have to rhyme. I'm not sure. We do kind of put a gender on things, in certain ways, like on kind of items that are things that we have. I often hear about people talking, not often, but I have heard about people like referring to like, even computers and stuff like that, or she's giving me awful problems. It is something that we have in which, and it literally has nothing to do with gender and neither has gender. Like it's anyway, I'm not getting into that. It's a whole other
it's not gender. It has nothing to do with gender. It's got to do with the letters at the end of the name, at the end of the word. That's all. I mean, even us, we're fucking half scared to talk about gender. It's fucking mad.
But it's but that's the thing we were kind of mentioning earlier on, that there's there's only a certain thing you can that you're not allowed to diverge from, and that's where we're at. And not necessarily that I'm scared to talk about it or end up being cancer. It's just I don't want to deal with it. You know what I mean? I don't want to talk about this for me. It doesn't affect. I'm not. It's not a hill I even care to climb. Never mind die on. Yeah. So I have to say,
did you see your man dressed up as I drink your milkshake? Daniel Day-Lewis, Jordan Peterson. He's on. I saw a photo of him. A clip of him. Sorry,
on Texas Show.
A minute on Texas Show. He has his bow tie on. He looks like Daniel Day-Lewis, and he looks like he's about to. I drink your milkshake. About climate change. He's like, whoa, climate. What is climate? Shut the fuck up, Pearson. Yeah. Just shut up. All right. Stop talking about stuff you know nothing about. Stop it. Be a psychologist. You're good at that. You're good at teaching people about psychology. Do that. Shut up about other things.
He's like, since he's come back from his Russian coma, I think he's a bit of a train wreck, in fairness. I've only watched a couple of his things. I just go, oh God, I can't have you. But I was looking at someone on Twitter put up the photo of him, and I went to Spotify to look, and I went, it's 4.5 hours. Oh, I'm not the man for that. I'm not the man for that.
It sucks that he's losing his mind in public.
Yeah.
And it's like Gemma O'Doherty, the Irish woman who had totally lost her marbles in public. Yeah. And that's sad. But like, someone needs to fucking tell him, man, step away from the microphone. Fucking sort yourself out, will you?
Yeah. You know what I mean? Should have spent a bit more in silence.
Has he?
He's become a caricature of what people thought he was. He's always problematic. I'm not saying he wasn't, but and he always did stuff like,
of course he
don't
was.
give a shit about. It was, like I said, it's the psychology stuff. That was only ever my interest. And it led to getting into Jung, and it was a great kind of thing for me. So, but he's a fucking train wreck at the minute. I have to admit.
Yeah. It's sad.
Yeah.
Sad to watch something like that, you know? And it's even sadder that it's encouraged and people kind of entrench themselves with it rather than just being like, shit, man, he needs help. And it sucks that he has to do this podcast every week because he's tied into contracts or book contracts and he has these responsibilities. Like, fucking hell, man.
Mm.
You don't want that life. You know what I mean? You just look after your head.
Yeah. But I mean, there's so many of them. Like, as you said, Gemma O'Doherty, and but no better person, though, in fairness to her. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
So back to the Kybalion. So hopefully Rhythm will bring Jordan and all people back to the light. I'd watch the Kybalion again, haven't spoken to you, and I think if you had been watching this together, I probably would have got more out of it. And again, I want to reiterate, the documentary is great. My problems are only with the actual...
Brilliant documentary.
Only with the actual Kybalion itself.
And great.
Ronnie did a great job. Mitch is brilliant.
Ronnie, you'll be listening. You did a brilliant job, man. It's great. Yeah. Mitch, sorry I didn't recognise you. It was because I don't really know what you look like. Yeah. I thought Ronnie and you were the same. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant documentary. I like the book, and it made me want to read the book again. You know?
I'm going to give the documentary 7 Peter Kingsleys out of 10, and I will give the Kybalion 5 Peter Kingsleys out of 10. That's.
I'll give the film 8, and the book doesn't matter. You know, I'm a lady. I'm going to go off now and do some active imagination on being the camel at Jesus' birth. The grumpy camel is just because all they do is spit. That's all camels do. Like,
why am I in a manger? What's going on here?
I was on one before in Morocco, and it was like they had him in this. It was this miserable poor camel in this tiny sandpit, and I don't know what age, like 15 or so. I got on this camel. I was the only person in my fucking tour bus that got on it. I got on the camel, and your man is fucking kicking the camel to try and go, and the camel is like, nope. Don't like white people. And I was like, yeah, well, you know, to be honest, camel, I'm only doing this to annoy my parents. You know, freaking out. So
play the game.
Fine, whatever.
Play the game.
and then we went down a couple other streets, and I put a snake around my neck just to annoy them as well. Then, like, you go on these tour buses of people. And like, would anyone like to volunteer to do something? And no one does that. And so I'm like, fuck yeah, I want a snake around my neck. Yeah, I'll do that. Your man's playing the music and stuff. It's good crack, like, but like the looks of the fear and horror on everyone. Like, he's trained. You think he's not going to have any fangs, or he's not going to bite me, or
next minute Spud's dead on the ground.
I wasn't even thinking about that at the time. I was just like, I'll fucking show these people, you know? Wimps. Yeah, seriously, I'm going to go off and do some active imagination, and I'll be the camel at Jesus' birth. Bye everyone. Watch the doc.
Watch
Thanks for giving it to us. Bye.